actually looked at anxiety in this way. And what's great about it is that it's so empowering because it's very simple and it allows you to really take control of your life, your overall well-being, your peace, all of that. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to dive in. So I want you to remember this, and this applies to anything. So if you are trying to heal anxiety or physical, spiritual, any mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical, anything that's undesired, if you are trying to heal that, you have to transform your health from the inside out. And so this is why we focus on what we call a health transformation in order to reverse your anxiety. A health transformation combines two things, and these are the two things that we're going to talk about in depth today in a way that is very digestible and very black and white. We're demystifying it. We're making it as simple as possible so that you can have the quickest transformation. So a health transformation is one that combines the power of the nervous system and the subconscious mind to eliminate your chronic anxiety. And the nervous system and the subconscious mind are my two areas of expertise. I have spent almost 10 years studying these specific parts of our being. So this is how we're going to reverse this chronic anxiety that so many people are struggling with. And this methodology that involves the nervous system and the subconscious mind is amazing because it works for everyone every time. Everybody has a nervous system. Everybody has a subconscious mind. And so you can take these principles, no matter who you are, no matter how long you've been sick, no matter what the specifics are of your situation, and this will work for you every time. So that's really exciting and empowering. And don't just take it from me. Here are just some of the many testimonials I have from people who have used the method that I'm going to teach you here today. People have not only reversed their debilitating anxiety, panic attacks, and phobias, but they've also reversed debilitating chronic symptoms like food intolerances, autoimmune disease, chronic pain, etc. So again, this works for anyone in any type of situation. So I want to hear from you first to see if this sounds like you. So go ahead and get ready to drop a number in the chat box. I'll give you the number to drop and tell me, is this the situation that you're in? Okay. If this sounds like you, drop a number 1. I'm going to open up the chat box so I can see. So have you tried every trick in the book and you're still struggling with your anxiety? If this sounds like you, I want you to put the number 1 in the chat box. Number 2, you want to stop feeling like your brain and body are fighting against you. If this sounds like you, I want you to put a number 2 in the chat box. And as I'm talking, I literally see the numbers flowing through the chat box, which means you are in good company. You are not alone. You're in the right place. So it means good things. Right. Number 3. Wow. You guys, yes, we are all in the right place. Number 3, you are ready to have a life filled with peace, freedom, and joy. I definitely want to see if this is you. If this is you, type in the number 3. You can type in as many numbers as you would like. Don't hold back. Oh, I see 3 with so many exclamation points. I love that energy. And number 4, you've heard about the subconscious mind and nervous system regulation, and you're curious about how it can help your anxiety. So I'm pretty sure everyone's typed 1, 2, and 3. I'm interested to know how many people might type 4. Don't worry if you haven't heard about it, because you will literally be a pro after today. I promise you that. But if you've heard about it, let me know. Type number 4. It's flowing through. Oh my gosh. Wow. We are all in such good company. It's so good to see all of these numbers across the screen. Okay. If you typed 1 or more numbers into the chat box, then this training is for you. So welcome. Like I said, you're in the right place. This is going to help you so much with your desires and where you feel you're stuck right now. Today, we are going to go through 3 lessons. I'm going to talk you through the 3 fundamental lessons for how to, 1, understand what anxiety is, 2, start to communicate with it, and 3, ultimately solve it in a way that actually works. But before we dive into this content, I want everybody to do something that is classic to what I do with all of my students, which is just to really ground and center yourself. Because when your nervous system is in a parasympathetic state, it actually opens up the logic centers of the brain. It opens up creativity and humor, and it just allows us to make those neural connections. So what I want everyone to do is just to take a second, drop their shoulders if they're up high, and also loosen your jaw. If your jaw is tight, it means your nervous system is stuck in that fight or flight. So just loosen it. You can see kind of how I'm moving my jaw. It might feel a little bit funny. And then go ahead and put your hands on your stomach. And I want you to drop your breath into your stomach. So it's going to look like moving it from your chest really far down. And what you're doing here is you're telling your nervous system that it's time to relax. So just breathe really slowly with me. Let's do like 3 deep breaths before we get started. How you guys feeling? Feeling good, feeling regulated, feeling ready to learn a lot of empowering information. I hope it helped. So let's go on to the content for today and this life-changing information. One thing I want to share with you, just so you know, if you've attended my free classes before, then you will be aware that this is something I always do. And what I'm giving you today is the ultimate anxiety language decoder. So what this means is when you stay till the end of my masterclass, our system will actually register that you've stayed till the end of the Q&A, and it's going to automatically send you this free ebook. This ebook is really cool because basically what it tells you is like, if you're feeling this kind of anxiety, this is where it's coming from, a subconscious mind, and how to heal it. So it's kind of like a little fast track for the concepts that we're talking about today. So like I said, this is yours for free, and it will automatically be sent to you when you stay till the end of the Q&A. So stick around if you're wanting the ebook, and also stick around because the content is going to be life-changing, and I want to have you here. So if you don't already know me, I know you guys have come from like all over in terms of the community. So if you've been in the community for a while, welcome back. If you're new, welcome to the community. I want to introduce myself so you know who I am and where I'm coming from. So my name is Faith Ashenden, and I'm the founder and CEO of this company, That Healing Feeling. Now, this company, honestly, similar to a lot of other companies in this space, was born out of my own experience. So I did not intend to put myself out there across social platforms and talk about what I talk about today. This passion comes from being bedridden with multiple chronic illnesses and debilitating anxiety. That was my past for a very long time. I was unable to work. And I was just stuck at home, like just suffering for years and years on end. And so as you can imagine, and we'll kind of go into this, healing myself was my full-time job and became my passion, and why I'm so passionate about teaching other people what I learned throughout my journey. My background coaching, hypnotherapy, and emotional freedom technique. I am a podcast host of one of the consistent 100 top global alternative health podcasts. If you don't already subscribe, it is That Healing Feeling. I would love to see you there. I have helped over 1,000 students using my health transformation method, which is the method we are going through today. And I am a leader in this space. I have over 700,000 people in my online community, 700,000 people from all over the world who want to take their power back and believe that there is actually a very strong possibility that despite what they've been told and despite their experiences, they can heal and have a normal life. And that is what That Healing Feeling is all about. So let's press rewind on my healing journey. Obviously, you know, like where I've been, how I've struggled, but what did that look like for me? Let's see as well if you can relate, right? shortly after graduating high school, I started to get really bad anxiety. And when I work a lot with women with a very similar story. So you often see like this kind of pattern starting at around like 18 to 21. So for me, it was like right after high school. And by 2012, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease. You might have heard of it, you might have not. It's like the opposite of Hashimoto's, if you know what that is. Affects your thyroid. And this was the first of many subsequent chronic conditions. So the anxiety came first, and then Graves' disease came next. Then I was diagnosed with IBS and CFS. So you can see a picture of me here, which is really telling. And I feel like it's a really powerful picture because on the outside, I look kind of like normal, but this is the amount of medication I had to take every single day to get through the day. And I think I was like 21, like I look visibly younger there, right? But, I was young and I had my whole life ahead of me and I was heavily, heavily medicated. And even, in these situations, I still was too sick to do anything. And so I had this overwhelming feeling like my life is over. Like my life has only just begun, but yet my life is over. And it was really hard. For 6 years, I was medicated. As you saw, I was riddled with anxiety. And in 2018, my body relapsed again and everything got worse. Everything was amplified because I'd never solved the problem. It just kind of compounded over the years and my body just sort of like gave out. It couldn't take it anymore. I became bedridden, so I wasn't able to work. I was just at home. And I don't know if any of you guys can relate. You might be somewhere on that spectrum, like we all have different journeys, but I felt like this was really a low for me, right? I basically never left the house. It was incredibly rare, like for doctor's appointments. And I couldn't really do anything unfamiliar because I was worried, is there going to be a trigger? Like if I can't control my environment and I go into the outside world, is there going to be something that causes a panic attack or triggers an OCD symptom? And so because of that, I was so limited in what I could do in my day-to-day life. I just felt like I was trapped by my fears. Like it wasn't a physical trap, but it might as well have been. And if you can relate, let me know in the comments. I just, I want you to know that like I'm already seeing, okay, you can relate. Yeah. Like, I guess I just want you to know that you're not alone and that I've been where you've been if you're anywhere on this spectrum. And also to be the evidence that healing is absolutely possible. So here's the thing. It didn't matter how much yoga or meditation I did, because let me be honest with you, I did a lot. And how many protocols, medications, or doctors I enlisted. So what I mean is, you guys, I have gone from Western medicine to Eastern medicine to integrative medicine to functional medicine to naturopathic medicine to chiropractic work. Like I literally tried so many things when I was out of a job for what I was dealing with the primary issue being anxiety and then all these other sensations that followed. So I tried a lot. And on top of that, I was really religious about my yoga and my meditation and all of that. But I was still re-experiencing the same anxious symptoms like clockwork. And it was really terrifying. And again, it brings back the question, is this going to be my life forever? Like, am I literally always going to be heavily medicated? My health is my full-time job, and I'm basically trapped because I feel like I can't go anywhere. And so I ask you, have you ever wondered this? Have you ever asked yourself, is this going to be my life forever? Is this it? Is this my reality now? Like, do I have to accept this? Those kinds of questions, because those were the big questions for me at the time. Yeah. And for those of you who are saying that you relate to this and you're feeling this, again, I assure you, and I'm excited to tell you that there is so a way out. But I also appreciate you guys coming in and being like so honest as well. Again, in the right place. And I'm happy to have you. Yes. All coming through the chat box. Yes. Amazing. And also no, which is great. So after years of feeling like this, I stumbled across a podcast. And people in this podcast were sharing their testimonies of how they've healed their debilitating anxiety. And you guys, this was the first time in the 10 years that I struggled with these conditions that I heard evidence of someone reversing their chronic anxiety. Like, my brain had never actually considered the possibility that there was an actual way out. I always just thought that I would be managing this. But I heard evidence for the first time that not only had one person like successfully done this, but many people had accomplished something that I thought was impossible. So this kickstarted my journey to developing the health transformation method. At that point that I heard that podcast, it was like the inception of everything that is here today within my health transformation method. I needed to know that there was a way, and then it became my goal to achieve that. So for 5 years, I have been researching, trial and erroring, implementing, and training to develop this methodology. Since implementing my health transformation method, my anxiety went away and it stayed gone. But even more than that, I healed all my underlying chronic illnesses, which was just an amazing bonus and also shows the link between anxiety and chronic illness. I got my freedom and joy back. I wasn't bound by my protocols and my like ridiculously long routines to like not have a panic attack and all the appointments and all of that. I could work, I could be happy, I could be free. And I think that's what everybody wants. I started a new business, That Healing Feeling, teaching other women how to do this for themselves, right? I took a leap of faith. I moved overseas. We talked about that earlier. I'm from Texas. I live in the UK. I married the love of my life and had 2 beautiful, healthy babies. And here's what I realized. To heal your anxiety, you have to enlist the help of the subconscious mind. And this is what we're going to dive into together and the very like specifics of this. But if you are writing anything down, I would write this down, because I would venture to say a lot of you are trying a lot of different methodologies for healing. And this is the crux of everything that I teach. To heal your anxiety, you have to enlist the help of the subconscious mind. So here's the truth about healing anxiety that you didn't know, but that will set you free. Number 1, anxiety is happening in a part of the brain that does not respond to logic. When I first learned about this in my studies, it literally blew my mind and changed everything for me. Everything. So I'm going to ask you this question, and I want your honest opinion. Have you ever tried reasoning your way out of anxiety? For example, have you been in a panic attack and someone was like, just chill, and you're just like, shut up? Or you're like feeling really anxious. There's all these memes about it, right? Where you're feeling really anxious and you're like venting to your partner and they're like, it's going to be fine. And they try to use logic and you're like, shut up. I don't want to hear your logic. I just want you to sympathize, you know? And like, it's funny because there are so many like little reels and memes on social about this, how annoying it is when someone tries to like use logic to get you to come out of a spiral of anxiety. And you're just like, don't do that. It's so annoying, you know? Okay, so you guys feel me, right? There is a reason why this doesn't work. Yes, exactly. There's a reason why this doesn't work. When dealing with anxiety, we often think of 2 parts of the mind, okay? So this is like the important stuff if you're taking notes, because this is the breakdown of how anxiety works. So we usually think of the conscious mind, which is the human part of the mind, right? This is the thoughts, the planning, the problem solving, the thinking about the past, the thinking about the future, the logical mind. So this is the conscious mind. And we think of the unconscious mind. So the unconscious mind is really the nervous system. It's very primitive. We share this part of the mind with like all animals, right? Like we share this with like our reptile friends. And so it really has one job, and it's to keep us alive. So all it can sense is danger and safety. Like if you look at like an animal, like a lizard or a zebra or whatever, they're not thinking very much. They're just thinking, ooh, is something going to come eat me? Or, oh, am I okay to just sit here and have my lunch? That's the extent of it. And we have that infrastructure at the bottom of our brain. So These are the two parts that are often talked about, the logical mind, the conscious human part versus the unconscious. Now, again, the logical part of the mind can think of the past, the present, and the future, the human part. The unconscious, the primitive part, cannot think of anything but the present moment. It has no capacity for past and future, no capacity for reflection or planning, right? One job: to keep you alive. Doesn't care about anything else. So you can see these have very different functions, right? Yet we're using both. Here's the problem. These two parts of the mind do not speak the same language. So when you're having like a panic attack or you're having anxiety, your unconscious mind is like, oh my God, we're gonna die. And your conscious mind, the logic, that's so annoying that comes in that you guys are like, yes, I relate to this. The conscious mind is like, don't worry, you don't need to panic. It's gonna be fine. But you're still panicking and you don't know why. You can't logic your way out of the situation. This illustrates what's actually happening. When you try to tell yourself you don't need to be anxious, your body and your mind can't hear you because they don't speak the language of the conscious mind. So many people are trying to use logic. And we see this across a lot of the modalities. And it's not working, right? You're going to therapy every single week for years and years and years, and you're trying to logic through the problem, but you're speaking the wrong language. And that's why you're stuck in a cycle. The unconscious mind does not understand logic. This is a sentence I would love for you to write down. I remember one time I did a reel on this and it just went viral. And it was this one sentence, right? Out of context of the webinar. And you're getting so much more context. But the important thing to remember is if it doesn't understand logic, stop using logic to try to break the cycle. It's a different language. It doesn't understand time. So it doesn't understand the past. It doesn't understand the future. It doesn't understand any of that. It just understands life and death. So let me give you this example because I think it is such a good way of understanding what I'm talking about. So here you have the prey and the predator. You've seen this in like National Geographics, whatever shows you watch, right? And this is a typical scene where like the lion is chasing the zebra. You can literally picture it here and you can see it on the TV. The zebra is running really fast because it's scared for its life and the lion is chasing it. So when the zebra perceives a threat to its life, its unconscious mind, which is the mind of a zebra, perceives, I'm going to die. What does it do? It kicks the nervous system into fight or flight. What does this do? It mobilizes all of the energy to the extremities in the jaw. So it can fight, flight, or bite. This is not different to us, right? So you know the feeling of anxiety. That's why I had you drop your shoulders, loosen your jaw, right? Drop your breath. So our bodies also have that same response. But here's the difference. This nice little zebra got away. So we're super happy for the zebra, of course. It's now looking super chill. It's back in rest and digest. What's happened here? Because the zebra does not have a conscious mind, it does not think about what just happened because it doesn't have the capacity to think about the past. The unconscious mind only exists in the present. So as soon as the lion is gone, it doesn't exist. And he's straight back into parasympathetic. What does that mean? Well, that is the state of the nervous system when your life is not in danger. And so you can rest, you can sleep, you can digest, you can procreate. And for humans, you can also think critically, you can access your humor and your problem solving. So there are a lot of benefits to being in rest and digest. But crucially, the difference is for a zebra or other animals, right? They don't reflect on the scary things that have happened. They just go back to the present moment. And that is what the subconscious mind does, or the unconscious mind does. So what does this have to do with anxiety? Here's the next thing I want you to write down, because this was another statement that totally set me free. Anxiety is a fear of the future. And actually, by definition, anxiety is the fear of an unwanted future. Anxiety cannot exist in the present. This is the true answer to healing anxiety. So write this down. Anxiety is a fear of the future. It is something we experience as human beings because we have the capacity to conceive of the future, of something that we don't want to happen. Okay? In the present moment, anxiety cannot exist. So this is the problem we're dealing with. But because the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between the past, the present, and the future, it creates a primitive reaction to respond to what it believes is a threat happening now. What does that mean? Let me give you an example. Let's say you're anxious about a dinner you're going to tonight, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so anxious. The food's gonna trigger me, the smells are gonna trigger me, and I'm gonna look stupid in front of my friends or whatever you're anxious about, right? You're consciously thinking about that in the future, but your unconscious mind doesn't understand that concept. It thinks the threat is happening now. And it only understands, am I gonna die or am I safe? And so it's not gonna understand you're scared of like having a flare because of the smell of something or whatever. Like it's only gonna understand, oh, something is life-threatening. So you're gonna go into fight or flight. And that's the cycle of anxiety, right? So this is, you can see that it's all coming back to this very primitive response. It's not something we need complex solutions for. So here's the cycle. At the top, the unconscious mind assumes that there's a real threat. And the thought is, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. So example that I gave earlier was like, you're going to this restaurant, you're really scared of having a flare, and your unconscious mind is like, oh my God, a lion is coming because it doesn't understand restaurant have a flare, right? So now your nervous system goes into fight or flight. What does that mean? And that means the energy goes away from the problem-solving part of your mind and into your extremities, into your jaw. It turns off your digestion. So hello, gut problems, right? And you feel your heart racing. Your breath goes up high. You get sweaty. This is the feeling of anxiety. And this is also fight or flight. It is a primitive reaction to a primitive way of thinking, right? Despite whatever you're anxious about is irrelevant. Now, the body confuses the physiological response of racing heart, shaking hands, tight jaw, all of that as a threat. So not only do you think you're going to die, but now you have all these physical symptoms. And now you're like, oh my God, this is freaking me out. I can't breathe well. I'm sweaty. I feel tingly, whatever. So now that is perceived as a threat. And the conscious mind gets more anxious about the future. And the cycle continues on and on and on and on. And in this day and age, people are still trying to use this conscious mind to send a different message. But you can see that that doesn't work, right? So think of your mind as like a puppy. So I don't know if you've ever had a puppy, but like I have had many puppies in my life. And I can tell you that while they're incredibly rewarding and just wonderful pets to have, they're a lot of work, right? Like if you've had a puppy, you know you have to like wake up with them in the night, you have to train them, you have to learn their language, and you have to be persistent. You can't be like, oh, my puppy peed on the carpet, forget it. You know, like you're like, no, I have to train them. Like they're going to do what they're going to do instinctually, and I'm going to give them direction. And then eventually their instincts are going to change. And that's how we have to think about anxiety, right? Like it's very primitive. It's a very primitive hardware. And so we need to be able to look at it in this way. It's not about you being an anxious person. It's not about you being whatever. It's about the fact that you need to be consistent. You need to speak its language and know that eventually it's going to change the way that it behaves. So it doesn't have to be this way, right? Like it doesn't have to be this way that you're living in this cycle of everything being triggered by the unconscious mind. And you can break the cycle. Absolutely, you can break the cycle. I had to hear that evidence, right, on the podcast. And that one piece of evidence gave me the hope and the faith to start this entire business, not only to heal myself, but to start this business. And What I hope for you is that this can be the evidence that you need to take the leap into something that's also going to change your life and empower you. Here's some more evidence for you, because evidence is very important for the brain. Hannah, who was one of my graduates from my Health Transformation Accelerator program, used this exact methodology that I'm talking you through today, and within 8 weeks released deeply stored trauma and healed debilitating anxiety. This system is replicable. Anyone can do it despite their circumstances. Here's Ale. She also completed the Health Transformation Accelerator, which is my program that is built on the methodology I'm teaching you here. She healed her debilitating anxiety and panic attacks. And you will also see a lot about learning a new way to think, looking at this differently. Those are the words that come through, because that's the critical piece I'm teaching you here today. And that's the foundation by which all of this is built upon. So they did this work and found their freedom using the health transformation method, which enlists the third part of the mind. This is where it gets exciting. The subconscious mind. If you've been with me for a hot minute, you know that this is literally all that I talk about, because the subconscious mind is your way out. I want everyone to know. I want to say it's the secret, but it's not, because I'm out here literally yelling about it. The subconscious mind is your way out of this problem. It literally holds the key, and I'm going to tell you why. Your subconscious mind is the majority of your mind. It holds your beliefs, identities, habits, values, perceptions. It's your identity. It's literally who you are and your experiences. And the beautiful part of the subconscious mind is that it speaks the language of the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. So you can start to see this picture of how this is your way out of this problem, right? It's the connection between these two parts of the brain that can't speak to each other. And it's the direct line of communication to the nervous system. So we talk about regulating the nervous system across social media all the time, right? People are like, take an ice bath or hum or meditate. No one's actually talking about what really moves the needle. The only thing that's going to move the needle forward for you, and this is the truth, is communicating to the nervous system directly. I don't want you to have a tool that's going to offer you some short-term immediate relief and then leave you in the lurch when you get triggered or whatever, life, and you don't have any tools, right? You need to actually get to the root of the problem here. So the subconscious is how you're going to do that, because it can communicate to that primitive part directly and instantly. And how we build that connection, right? That connection needs to be established to be able to communicate in the health transformation method is very strategic. One, speaking through hypnosis. There is a ton of scientific literature that shows the power of targeted hypnosis for overcoming any chronic condition, especially anxiety. I'm going to tell you why. When you are hypnotized, your brainwaves slow down such that you're communicating only to the subconscious mind and not to the conscious mind. That's essentially where the door to the subconscious is wide open. Anything that you tell the subconscious during that state will automatically start to rewire your physiology and recode the narrative that's been there keeping you stuck. So within the method that I've created that helped me heal, that helped my students heal, we really capitalize on slowing down those brain waves so that we can instantaneously and quickly start communicating and recoding. But there's also so many unique tools to break the cycle of anxiety, and we're going to go into that. I'll tell you when to write it down, but the cycle that you use, this method specializes in breaking that, right? Because when you implement this method successfully, it doesn't exist anymore. You can change the brain. It's called neuroplasticity, and that's what we do. Targeted meditation for rapid results. So I use something called rapid resolution therapy. I am obsessed with it. It speaks directly on a subconscious level, which is why I fell in love. So I use rapid resolution therapy, among other modalities, to encourage spontaneous and, as you can imagine, rapid healing. I bypass the conscious mind and talk directly to the subconscious. And this is how we achieve that. And then thought pattern rewiring. Again, neuroplasticity, talking about how we can actually change the physical structure of our brain. So we essentially evolve it so that we don't stay in this primitive cycle anymore. So these are ways within this methodology that we actually break that cycle and fully heal. Let's dive into what those mean a little bit more, because I think you're going to relate to this a lot. Anxiety is healed through neurohacking. And especially if you've been in like the integrative functional space, I literally know that this is going to relate to you. So, have you ever tried biohacking? Let me know in the comments if you have and what you've tried. And I'm going to give you some examples of what it is. But if you've heard of it, if you've tried it, let me know. Let me know what you've tried of biohacking. At least in my world, it's like so big on social media. Everyone is talking about it. I feel like, especially now in 2024, it's become a big thing. So, what is biohacking? So, cold plunging, for example, that's a biohack, right? Breath work. Anyone tried breath work? A biohack. Supplements like ashwagandha, or really honestly, like any supplements like magnesium, all of that, supplements for stress, anxiety. Yeah. Like, and if you haven't, that's fine. I mean, that's actually very much in line with what I'm teaching you. But yeah, some of you have, some of you haven't. Either way, it's absolutely fine, but just really good to kind of take a pulse for your understanding of it. But we're going to dive into it, so don't worry. So biohacking is commonly used to manage anxiety, but it cannot heal it. Biohacking is a supplemental tool, right? So what I was saying to you earlier is a really important point. If you are someone who has, like someone mentioned earlier, if I go back, yes, all of the above supplements, you've got your supplements, you've got your sauna, you've got your cold plunge, you've got your vagus nerve device, like, you know, all of that. But if you don't use those consistently, you fall back into anxiety. So essentially you're reliant on them, right? And it's not targeting the root cause of your anxiety. That's the problem. And that's why it's not sustainable, right? So when you stop doing it, your anxiety comes back. It's really frustrating because you're relying on all this stuff outside of you, albeit you're willing to do anything. But still, like, I don't want you to feel like you have to be completely reliant on these things to make it through the day and feel free. I want to give you an analogy that really resonates with me, and I think it might resonate with you as well. Have you heard this phrase before? You cannot supplement your way out of a bad diet. Because, oh my gosh, this resonates so much with me in a culture, especially in the like holistic healing space. There's a culture of supplementation, which, don't get me wrong, I love a good supplement. But there's a lot of people who would rather take a supplement, a vitamin of this or that, than actually change the way that they're eating their food, right? And so they're like still eating crap food, but they're looking to like buy all these different supplements, and they're taking 25 supplements, but they're still not eating a very good diet, right? You have to start with the root cause, the diet itself, to get lasting results, right? So even though you're taking vitamin C, vitamin B, vitamin D and K, or whatever you're taking, even maybe taking like ashwagandha and all this stuff, if you're eating all processed foods, guess what? You're not going to be getting the nutrients you need on a foundational level. And so in order to get lasting results, you need to start with the foundation with anything. And this is no exception. You need to eat whole foods, right? Pick your diet. I don't care. It's not a nutrition masterclass, but it's a concept we can relate to and really get behind, right? And if you don't do that, right, you stop the supplements, you're going to feel crap again, essentially. So again, going back to root cause, foundational tools. The same is true for anxiety. Okay. So I want you to think about anxiety the way you think about biohacking and supplementation and all of that stuff that are amazing supplements to the root cause work. Biohacking can have profound effects. Absolutely. But biohacking has to be built on a foundational protocol. And this is where neurohacking comes in. You already know me on Instagram. I'm a neurohacking coach. Yes, I made the term up because no one else is talking about this. So a lot of this is going to feel really new, right? It's based on the science, but the methodology that I use is unique. And I call what I do is it's akin to functional medicine, which is root cause healing for the body. I'm sure you guys are familiar. Neurohacking is root cause healing for anxiety. So just as you think about integrative, functional, even naturopathic, right, medicine as root cause healing for the body, think of what we're talking about today as root cause healing for anxiety. It's the same thing. And it's why it works. Neurohacking is hacking the subconscious mind. We talked about this. I said to you, this is literally the key to all healing. It's everything because it communicates to both the conscious and the unconscious. And this is what I call neurohacking, right? And to send messages of safety to the body through the nervous system, which is what you are trying to do to heal anxiety, you are going to have to enlist the subconscious mind, right? And that is, you can follow this arrow, what's going to send the direct message of safety to the nervous system. Our nervous system, this is something really important to understand as well. And I feel like when I understood this, it also changed everything for me. I actually am trying to give you like the bold statements that changed my life as much as I can in like a compact masterclass. Our nervous system doesn't understand microstressors. That's really important to understand. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but like it doesn't understand if you're stressed about going to dinner with your friends or like if you're stressed about a meeting, right? Or whatever it is. Like it doesn't understand that. It literally only understands I'm about to get eaten by a lion. That's it, right? And so we might be living in a modern world full of microstressors in comparison to getting eaten by a lion. But as far as our nervous system is concerned, we're basically constantly under threat of getting eaten by a lion. So here's the cycle of anxiety. I want to bring it front and center because we're going to now talk a little bit about breaking it. But again, I want to remind you, we start with the unconscious mind, the mind we share with this zebra, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die. No matter what you're anxious about, no matter what, your body thinks you're going to die if you're having anxiety. That is the only thing you need to understand from what I'm teaching you here today. That is the language of the unconscious mind. Logic doesn't work. So your body goes into fight or flight. That is why you have pain. It's why you have gut issues. It's why your jaw hurts. It's why your back hurts. It's why you have issues with your heart rate. It's why you have excessive sweating and weight gain. All of these things are coming from long-term stress. It's a physiological response to long-term stress from this cycle. Then those sensations, those unwanted sensations cause more panic and you get more anxiety. This cycle is so prevalent in our society because we're not using the right approach to helping people heal. But you guys are, because you're here and you're learning this quote unquote secret. That's not a secret, but you know, it's for the people here. And it's that the subconscious mind is what's going to break this cycle. Okay. So no longer. Here it is, right? You enlist the help of your subconscious mind. And what you see, is that it literally breaks the circle here and the cycle stops, right? So first you see the unconscious mind realizes that there's no threats, fight or flight turns off, goes around the circle. There's no more anxiety about the future. So it's a totally different kettle of fish. And here's what's interesting about neuroplasticity. Again, this is the brain's ability to rewire itself. If you start using my methodology, send messages of safety. Oh, no threat. Fight or flight turns off. Rest and digest turns on. Clear the root cause of anxiety. Signals of safety. No more anxiety. If you use this, you literally rewire your mind to stop having anxiety. This is why we call it a root cause approach, because I don't want you having to band-aid your way through your life. I want you to have real freedom. So that is the way that the subconscious breaks the cycle. Again, it is very important that I provide you evidence that this is possible and it works for everyone every time. This has helped thousands of women in our community heal their anxiety. I'm sharing you just a few testimonials of women who have overcome anxiety they have suffered with sometimes for 30, 40. I've had someone who had anxiety for 60 years, right? So it doesn't matter how long you've been suffering for. This is always going to work for you every single time. Christy. So Christy came to me with anxiety, adrenal fatigue, and burnout, which are very, very typical for someone who's been under long-term stress. And she says right here, by uncovering the root causes, she was able to heal within less than 2 months. So the health transformation method helps you break that cycle, right? It helps you break that circle. You have the clear visual, you're understanding. And by the way, it is actually this simple. So what I don't want you to think is that this is like very complex, because a lot of modalities try to make you think, oh, this is really hard and you're gonna have to do this and this and this. And actually, I'm the opposite. I want you to understand that it's very black and white, right? Like it's literally like you're speaking to the primitive mind. It's black and white. It's life, death, it's send the message. Like there's no complexity here. And I think that boosts dopamine, which is your motivation to implement the techniques and to learn and to look at life through that lens. Once the cycle is broken here, so once you break this cycle, as you see here, you can figure out where the anxiety is actually coming from and clear it. So this is where we dive into the root cause. So just like functional medicine, to give you an example, if you have been to a functional medicine doctor, they might say you have like excess bacteria in your gut and that's causing bloating, or you have like mold toxicity and that's causing pain or brain fog or whatever. So when we're talking about root cause in terms of the mind, we look in your subconscious for your beliefs, identities, and perceptions. When we can understand what's stuck there, what toxicity in a sense is stuck there, we detox that in the same way that you detox the body, and that clears that anxiety forever. Unlike functional medicine, where you can have more bacteria, or you can have a fungal overgrowth again, or you can get re-exposed to the toxin, that's not how the mind works. Unless you re-traumatize yourself, that memory, that experience, and that fear is gone for good, which is why it's so healing. So lesson number 3, we're really getting through it. So anxiety isn't an inherent identity. It is learned, which means it can be unlearned. This is probably one of the most profound points and something that I truly believe will set you free. How many of you identify as an anxious person? Let me know, because for me, this was such a like sticky point. Like I always identified as an anxious person. Always, always, always. Like you saw my story, right? So like that was me. Let me know if you agree or not agree, if you also feel this way. Okay. Hey, no sad faces, because I'm going to teach you how to change that. I don't say this to like make you feel sad. I say this to say, hey, guess what? We're going to turn this around. I love that. Someone saying they refuse to. Okay, let's dive into it then. I am an anxious person. I am is an identity statement. These are very powerful words. You see it across a lot of literature, even in the Bible, right? It says like, I am. I am is a powerful command to your physiology, and we must be so careful how we use it. Anything that gets put after the words I am is the ultimate instruction to the nervous system. Now, if you haven't heard of what I'm about to teach you, it's gonna blow your mind, because it blew mine. The reticular activating system. Let me teach you the science behind why I am is so powerful. So here's an image of the reticulating activating system, and it's honestly like such a small part of the brain, yet it shapes your entire perception of your physical and emotional experience. How does it work? I am an anxious person. Let's say that that is what you identify as, right? It activates your reticular activating system to look for evidence that confirms that. What does that mean? Okay, so here you are on the left. Please follow with me, because this is crazy. So you are at dinner with your friends, right? At the beginning, you feel anxious, and then you feel calm. Maybe you're talking, you're feeling good, you feel calm, you feel anxious again. And then you feel calm, you feel calm. Go to what you experience. You somehow only remember feeling anxious, and you confirm your own identity that I'm an anxious person. Why is it the case that all of your reality is confirming your identity? I'll tell you why. There's a science behind it. Your reticular activating system will delete, distort, and generalize any evidence to the contrary of your identity statement. So your mind is literally deleting, distorting, and generalizing anything that's not in alignment with your identity. This is incredibly profound because even though here on the left, your real experience is that you might have felt calm more than you felt anxious, guess what? You don't have the capacity to comprehend and remember that information. So when you look back on your night, the memory that you have sort of lodged in within your mind of the experience is just more confirmation of I'm an anxious person. And this is consistently happening, right? In a cycle. The problem is, and this is another one to write down if you are writing something down, because this is what changed me. It really did. And this applies to everything. You cannot heal in opposition to your identity, whether it's anxious, chronically ill, tired, whatever it is you identify as, you cannot heal in opposition to that because of the reticular activating system. You have to change your identity. And the truth is, anxiety is not part of your identity. We've been trained to believe this, and there are a lot of different reasons why, but we adopt a lot of things as our identity. Anxiety is absolutely one of them. Anxiety is just an acquired set of memories and traumas that haven't been processed. Remember, we talked about the subconscious mind. It holds these traumas, these perceptions, these memories, these beliefs, our identities. And when we don't process and identify this information, it essentially causes us this cycle of anxiety, right? And so it's really important to get to the root cause of these and eliminate them so that we can clear it for good. So any guesses on how we start to process these memories? Let me know in the comments. We've talked about it today, but I'm checking for understanding. I'm checking for signs of life. Any guesses on how we process these memories? Okay. Yes, form a new identity. And that is definitely part of it. The subconscious mind. Yes, there we go. You're like, what is my answer to everything? Subconscious, reprogramming, well done. Yes, and identity is part of that. So you were totally on the mark. Everyone's right. Yes, neurohacking. Yes, all of that. You guys are listening. I love it. Thank you. So the subconscious mind is how you do it. When you go into the subconscious mind and you clear limiting beliefs, you clear identities that are holding you back, right? You clear these traumas, you break the cycle. This is root cause, right? Again, think about functional medicine. When you go in and you clear the toxicity, this is exactly it. Once you clear the toxicity, it's gone for good. So this is where we retrain the brain. We talked about neuroplasticity. We uncover limiting beliefs. You can write this down. You need to make yourself aware of your limiting beliefs or else they're always going to hold you back. That's simply as easy as sitting down and writing them down. Process past experiences and traumas. Within my methodology, we use rapid resolution therapy and neurolinguistic programming and hypnotherapy to help people process trauma so they don't have to talk about it. I don't believe in talking about your trauma. That re-traumatizes the nervous system because the nervous system thinks it's happening now. You know that now because you guys are experts on the cycle. Develop new I am statements. You can write this down. It is as simple as writing down the identities you want to have and doing work around that, right? Doing conscious work around that and collecting evidence to support those new I ams. Today, you have heard me give you a lot of evidence of healing, a lot. And the reason is because our minds are evidence collecting machines. And if you want to change the programming, you have to provide evidence. If you want to have a new identity, you need to collect evidence in your day-to-day life that supports that, no matter how big or small. Creating new identities, someone said this in the chat, for ourselves that are healed from anxiety, right? So it's this idea of stepping into who we want to be before we actually become that person. It's this idea of showing up at as that person before we are that person, right? Embodying it on every level. Like Erin, And she was a graduate of my Health Transformation Accelerator program. She healed her health anxiety. She also had a flying phobia. And she says, like this methodology pulled me out of helplessness. Here is some more evidence for your mind to believe that it's possible for you. And like myself, right? I was sick. You saw the image, you heard the story. It sucked. Right? It sucked so much that it propelled me into this career. And it was something that shaped me, made me, molded me, and it was a heavy trauma that I had to process. And now, look at me. I'm who I am today, completely and fully healed after doing this work in 2019. We're in almost 2025, almost, my gosh. And I live anxiety free. I live symptom free, right? And I use the health transformation method, which is brain training, clearing limiting beliefs, emotional processing shifts, identity shifting, and subconscious strengthening, right? So it's some really key aspects that we've gone over today that is in the health transformation method. And in 2020, you can see that, everything just stayed. I don't even consider it remission because of the identity shifting work I've done. I considered it as fully healed. And you'll hear me, my students hear me say this all the time. I just consider myself a healthy person. I would not say remission. I would not say high risk. I wouldn't say any of that. From Graves' disease, from IBS, from CFS, from, unexplained symptoms, from anxiety. I have my freedom and joy. I have this business. I have my family, and I have peace, which to me is something I always wanted and never had until I did this work. And it means everything to me. And I appreciate it so much more because of what I've been through. I used to look at people who had peace thinking they're so freaking lucky, and never thought that I could have it. And now I do. And it's a part of my every single day. And I'm just a normal person. Since then, I've helped over 1,000 other women do the same thing. And these are just some of the beautiful faces. So I have a little bit more to chat with you about, but before we do that, I want to take one more moment to check in with our bodies. Again, this is what I do with my students, and it's these micro moments that make a huge difference. So everybody check in with yourself, drop your shoulders, remove your tension in your jaw. If you can see me like this, slow your breathing rate down into your stomach. Okay. So it might be up high in your chest, slow it down. Put your hand on your stomach so you can feel it. And inhale and exhale slowly. Let's do 3 deep breaths together. Let's create that parasympathetic energy. I'm going to do it with you. Okay. Make sure you can always come back to this state, right? And the most important thing in all of this is communicating to the primitive mind, and the primitive mind is the body. So doing something like that as well is really effective for getting that message across. So you may have already tried to implement one of the healing tools and found yourself frustrated when it wasn't working, right? And you've said this at the beginning. This is where I was. It could be where you are now. You've tried to implement these tools. They're not working, and it's really frustrating because I know you guys who are here, you do the most. I know you are because you're here, right? So I know you're doing everything, and it can be really frustrating when you're putting in the work, the energy, the time, the money, and you're not getting the results you want. But I took my 11 years of experience and over $238,000 invested in different modalities for myself and my education, right? This was a very significant investment of my time more than anything to get to where I am today. To create an unparalleled program that blends 3 healing lessons together. What are they? Number 1, anxiety is happening in a part of the brain that does not respond to logic. Number 2, anxiety is healed through neurohacking. Number 3, anxiety isn't an inherent identity. It is learned, which means it can be unlearned. These 3 principles are the foundation by which I by which I created my methodology that has helped over thousands of people heal. to get the optimum healing results in the shortest amount of time, right? So I want to introduce you to the Health Accelerator program. This is my 12-week group program designed for women who are ready to self-heal chronic anxiety for good. This is the program that all the testimonials you saw came from, and it is everything I've taught you here today, including exactly how to implement these methods to break that cycle and heal for good. And I really want to emphasize that everything I did from 2018 to now, this is the health transformation method, right? And these tools that I've compiled into my program are not only what turned my anxiety around, but I really want to be clear, they are also what helped me reverse my chronic illnesses, including unexplained symptoms like chronic UTIs and chronic anxiety. Okay. So it was a laundry list of things that were reversed through my methodology. I do this in 3 specific phases. It is very methodical and very digestible. Number 1, it's establishing a connection between your mind and body. What does that mean? We talked about it today. You're experts at this now and you understand. It means establishing a connection between the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious, right? Because right now, people are just trying to use the conscious to communicate to the unconscious, and it doesn't work. When we create that connection, that's where we can start to communicate safety. So that is phase 1. Phase 2 is where the rapid healing happens. So I help you communicate from the mind to the body through the subconscious so that you can create that safety. I also help you clear any of the toxicity, those limiting beliefs, limiting identities, and traumas quickly, efficiently, and effectively so that you can heal for good. Phase 3 is empowerment. You do it on your own. You're consistently sending signals of safety to the body, and you're now optimizing. Now that you are optimizing, what that means is you're thinking and asking the question, how much better can it get? And that's where I want you to be, and that's where you deserve to be. So you get to say goodbye to your identity as an anxious person. And you do this by reprogramming your subconscious mind. You guys already know that. You've been saying that in the comments. Optimizing your nervous system. I told you at the beginning that these are my areas of expertise, as well as leveraging quantum healing practices. So what that means is I help you rapidly shift your identity so you can step into a whole new reality by working on that high level of the mind. A lot of people will call this like a quantum leap, collapsing time, whatever you want to talk about in terms of whether it's spirituality or physics. We bring it all together. And through these 3 different pillars, we allow you to reverse your chronic anxiety for good. So this virtual retreat, and that's what the Health Transformation Accelerator is really an elevated experience. It's not a program, right? Like it's actually a retreat. And yes, it's virtual, it's global, right? But you get a lot of perks within the retreat itself. You get concierge experience, you get ceremonies, and you get lots of added like bonuses like yoga and sound healing and all of that as if you were at an actual retreat. But the best part, in my opinion, is the curated daily content. So I've actually broken down my exact methodology that I use to heal and that all these women have used. And I give you a plan for every single day for 12 weeks. So that is insane because it tells you exactly what you need to do. No guesswork, no complication, no ambiguity, black and white, because that's the kind of person I am. A lot of targeted hypnosis. We talked about the importance, live weekly calls with me, and daily check-ins on our Facebook group. So you actually get to speak with me personally. You can ping me a message 5 days a week and I will respond to you personally for individual coaching. So it's a really comprehensive healing experience. These are the results our cohort members have had, and these speak for themselves. 90% regained their freedom. 95% reduced anxiety. 95% said they improved their quality of life. 100%, and we are really proud of this number, reinstilled their hope for healing. And what are we if not, a community of reinstilling hope? I mean, everything I do is to convince your subconscious that this is possible for you. The best part is you get lifetime access. We are currently the only program in the online space, and definitely the only retreat, that gives you lifetime access, not just to the daily implementation work, but the live coaching calls and the daily individual support in the Facebook group. Like, That's lifetime coaching for free. And we do this because we know you're going to get results. We're not scared that you're going to, we're going to have 50,000 people every day sending messages, because we know that you're going to get results in the program. And we're so sure of it that we give you this guarantee. And we will actually coach you every day forever until you get those results. But we never see that happen because people always get results. So the total value, this program is obviously jam-packed with value. I know you can see that because you've seen everything I've included. I've talked to you through the methodology and all of the stuff that's included in this retreat. I mean, it's insane, right? So there's a lot of value. It's very clear. And I was going to offer this retreat experience at $20,000. Like, that was what I went to market with. But I decided to drop that price to $5,900. So we did quite a bit of like dropping down with everything we included in our retreat. And for you guys, because I know you guys get it, right? Like, you're here. I said this before because you want to take your health and healing into your own hands, and because you get it and you know how important this is. I'm doing something that I don't do to the public. I don't offer this. It is only for people on the webinar. I'm going to give you $900 off the retreat price. So the new price of the program just for you, if you purchase within the next 30 minutes, is $5,000. So I am going to pop that link up for you. Basically, what you can do is you can actually click on that link to join the retreat experience. And once you join the retreat, you will automatically get your enrollment packet, and you'll get to be in the community within 5 minutes of joining. You'll be getting access to so much information, and you're with us for life. So this changes everything. I want to give you a little more evidence. This is Haley, one of my Health Transformation Accelerator graduates. She healed acne and chronic symptoms. She's now traveling by herself, and she is able to silence any of her anxious thoughts. She has freedom again. She feels relaxed again. Here's Maddie. Maddie has an amazing story. Within 2 weeks of doing this program, she had an 80% reduction in her chronic symptoms. Like, this is crazy. People are seeing what they call miracles. So one of the things that I really want to make clear is when you join the Health Transformation Accelerator, I'm really going to virtually handhold you through every step. So I'm going to give you the tools, the techniques, and the routine to use in your self-healing, because I want to make this so clear. I am removing any guesswork and any ambiguity. It is so many years of hard work served to you on a silver platter to remove any obstacle to your healing. When you join, you get loads of preparation to get your mind primed for the work. So you're going to get a prep lounge, access to my academy, and live yoga sessions. And then during the retreat, once it starts, you're going to get the curriculum, community access, live calls, and loads of bonuses. So from the beginning of joining the community, you are like in it, like I said, and you are in it for life, right? Here's the thing. I want to do one more thing for you guys. And this is for anyone who is resonating with this, right? Like, you get it. You're like that person and you really want to join. But right now, the 5,000 price point isn't something that is an investment for you right now, but something inside of you is like, I want to do this, right? So I want to make the program even more accessible for you. So in this 30-minute bonus plan, I'm going to offer you a special 2 payment plan. Again, this is not something that we do for the public. This is only for the masterclass. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to offer you the program for $2,500. This means you can actually enroll and get all of the content I mentioned for an initial investment of $2,500. It's a 2-part payment plan. And when you pay the $2,500, you will go ahead and get access to everything, right? So this 2-part payment plan is really there to make this more accessible for those who are just really ready to take the plunge and join the community and make this commitment to their health and, finish out the year as strong and confident as possible. Because I really believe that there are 3 months left this year, and it's called the winter arc. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's like, if you had a goal for 2024 and you didn't achieve it, you literally still have 3 months to achieve that goal. And you actually can achieve that. Like my program is literally 12 weeks long, right? Like how many months is that? You can achieve your healing by the end of 2024. When you sign up to this, you can really start to make an impact. So there's still time, there's a lot of time. And whatever your goals were, you can have them. Here's a example of Jessica, some more evidence. She's a graduate of my program. She was scared to try something else, understandably, because she had tried so many things before. But once she started forming new thought patterns and, stepping into the system, she healed for good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer some of the Q&As. I know this was a lot of information and we went a little bit over, and I really hope that it was helpful and you got a lot of notes. But let me go to the Q&A. So there's a question that I have been getting, and it's like, what if I'm not in the US or the UK? So I want to answer that first because it's a logistical question. So our community is global. You can be anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter like where you're located. We have people literally like I have people in New Zealand and Australia, I'm in the UK, but like I'm from the US and I have a lot of US clients. So it doesn't matter. And I think it's really cool that we are global. I attract a lot of really smart people, and we have a lot of different perspectives and different ways of doing things. And the conversations are very enriching. So absolutely, you can join from wherever you are. Do I have to attend live is another question I get all the time. So all of my live calls are recorded. And the reason they are recorded is because not everyone can make every live call, right? And also a lot of people like to watch the live calls over and over again just to really embed it within their subconscious. So the live calls go into your portal within like 2 hours of going live. So if you miss a live session, you can literally just watch it again. And keeping in mind that you get lifetime access to the live calls. So like if in this 12 weeks you miss like 2 sessions, you can always take them the next 12 weeks. Like I want to remove that time pressure for you so you don't feel like you're in a race, because that's the opposite